On April 19, 2026, Venus moves into Taurus and stays until May 14th. This is one of the most naturally comfortable and genuinely abundant Venus transits of the entire year, and the reason is simple. Taurus is Venus's own sign. When a planet moves into the sign it rules, it is operating from a position of complete familiarity and full empowerment, like someone who has finally come home after a long journey. Everything Venus represents, love, beauty, material comfort, desire, wealth, and the pleasure of being fully alive in the senses, is expressed at its highest and most natural quality during this period. It's important to highlight that these interpretations are based on Sidereal or Vedic Astrology, which considers a roughly 24-degree variance from the tropical zodiac. To understand what Venus in Taurus means in practice, you need to understand what Venus actually represents beyond its romantic associations. Venus is the planet of our desires and the things we love. It governs our relationship with beauty, with material comfort, with the people we want to be close to, and with the quality of life we are working toward. It rules liquid money, savings, luxuries, and all the conveniences that make daily life genuinely enjoyable rather than merely functional. In Taurus, all of these qualities double. Taurus is the sign of hoarded wealth, assets, physical comfort, and the pleasure of good things. Venus ruling this sign and transiting through it creates a period where the desire for beauty, comfort, financial security, and genuine enjoyment of life is not just present but magnified. On a collective level, this transit tends to shift the overall mood toward comfort-seeking and material appreciation. People become more willing to spend on quality, more motivated to improve their immediate environments, and more inclined toward genuine pleasure in the sensory world. Food becomes more important. Home environments receive more attention and investment. Relationships are approached with a desire for ease, warmth, and genuine mutual comfort rather than drama or intensity. There is a natural slowing down during Venus and Taurus transits, a collective instinct to stop and enjoy what is already present rather than always pushing toward the next thing. That quality is both the gift and the risk of this transit. The risk worth naming is the tendency toward overindulgence and financial excess. Venus in its own sign in Taurus has a strong appetite. The desire for quality is real, the pull toward luxury is genuine, and the instinct to say yes to beautiful and comfortable things is natural during this period. That instinct, unchecked, can produce spending that feels entirely justified in the moment but creates financial strain afterward. The practical guidance for this transit is not to suppress the Venus and Taurus desire for beauty and comfort, but to direct it toward investments in quality that will still feel worthwhile long after the transit has passed. Spend on things that last. Choose depth over novelty. That is Venus and Taurus at its wisest. The Sun is exalted in Aries throughout most of this period, and its combination with Venus's own sign empowerment creates a backdrop of genuine confidence and authority running alongside the Venusian comfort and beauty. The Sun's exalted energy in Aries lends a quality of purposeful action and personal power to what could otherwise be a purely passive, pleasure-seeking transit. The result is a period that supports both genuine enjoyment and meaningful achievement simultaneously. Saturn in Pisces is aspecting Taurus with its third aspect throughout this transit, which adds a disciplined and long-term quality to Venus's abundance instinct. Saturn's influence here is ultimately a useful one. It slows down the more impulsive Venus spending tendencies and encourages investments in quality that carry lasting value. Mars and Saturn remain in Pisces together during this Venus transit, creating a background of sustained effort and serious responsibility in the signs and houses they occupy. Mercury moves from Pisces into Aries on April 30th, shifting the intellectual and communicative energy of the chart toward more direct, confident expression during the final 2 weeks of this Venus transit. The combination of Venus in its own sign, the exalted Sun, and Mercury's move into Aries from April 30th creates a genuinely productive and confident second half of this transit period for most signs, where both personal warmth and professional clarity are available simultaneously. Venus in Taurus also maintains a continuous aspect on Scorpio throughout its entire transit. Wherever Scorpio falls in your chart, Venus is sending its love and desire toward that house for the transiting days. This aspect activates the hidden, deep, and transformative dimension of whichever house Scorpio occupies in your personal chart with a quality of genuine warmth and desire rather than pressure or disruption. The Scorpio house in your chart becomes a space you are drawn toward lovingly during this period rather than avoiding. Overall, Venus in Taurus from April 19th to May 14th is a transit of genuine material and emotional abundance for those who engage with it consciously. Come home to the things that truly matter, invest in what lasts, and let Venus in its own sign do what it does best. Venus represents love and activities that bring joy. As Venus transits through different houses for approximately 25 days, it signifies an increased inclination towards activities associated with that specific house. The final outcomes may vary based on the dignity of Venus in the birth chart, but the common thread is an affinity towards engagements related to the house Venus is currently transiting. Venus primarily influences the Moon and Mercury and is relatively susceptible to the influence of malefic planets such as the Sun, Mars, Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu. To accurately assess the impact of these transits, it is crucial to consider your ascendant and moon signs. The ascendant sign offers insights into the timing of life events, while the moon sign reveals how you will emotionally respond to these changes. Take into account the position of your current Mahadasha Lord in your birth chart, as it can shed light on how these transits will influence the recurring themes of your current dasha period. This transit may manifest differently for each individual, and how they navigate this transit will depend on their personal charts. A more precise understanding of the impact of this transit can be gained by examining Venus's Ashtakavarga score in Taurus. Keep in mind that the effects of this transit are contingent on Venus's interaction with the planets in individual birth charts. It's also worth noting that individuals currently experiencing the influence of Venus Dasha may feel the effects of this transit more intensely. To understand how this transit may affect you based on your zodiac sign and the houses it transits, let's delve into those specifics. For Aries, Venus moves into Taurus on April 19th and stays until May 14th, transiting your second house. For Aries individuals, Venus rules your second house directly through Taurus and your seventh house of partnerships through Libra. When Venus moves into its own sign in your second house, it becomes the most empowered version of itself possible. Venus in its own sign in the house it naturally rules is double energy, the planet of wealth, beauty, and comfort, sitting in the sign and house most directly associated with those very things. For you, this is one of the most financially potent Venus transits of the year. The second house governs accumulated personal wealth, savings, family, your voice and speech, food, and the material foundations of daily life. With Venus operating at full power in this house, all of these areas receive a genuine boost. Your desire to accumulate more, to surround yourself with beautiful and comfortable things, and to enjoy the material pleasures of life is heightened during these 25 days. There is a natural pull toward quality during this transit. You are less interested in cheap or compromised solutions and more willing to invest in things that genuinely last and feel good. That instinct is appropriate during a Venus in own sign transit, as long as it is balanced by awareness of the longer-term picture. Financially, this transit is one of the more favorable periods for income and accumulation. Venus ruling the second house and sitting in it in its own sign creates a situation where money flows with more ease than usual. Opportunities to earn, to increase your savings, or to acquire something of lasting material value present themselves during this period. Fields connected to beauty, finance, food, art, design, luxury goods, or any Venus-ruled profession benefit most directly. If your work falls in these areas, the period from April 19th to May 14th is worth treating as a genuinely productive window for financial initiatives. Your speech and the quality of your voice also receive Venus's influence in the second house. Your words become more charming, more pleasantly delivered, and more persuasive than usual. This is a real and practical asset in any professional situation where communication influences outcomes. Negotiations, pitches, financial conversations, or personal relationship discussions all benefit from this quality of Venus-enhanced speech. The second house is also the house of family, and there is a natural warmth and generosity in family interactions during this transit. Shared meals, time spent at home with loved ones, and the simple pleasures of domestic life carry more satisfaction. Venus also rules your seventh house of partnerships and marriage while transiting the second house. This creates a meaningful connection between your closest relationships and your material foundations during this transit. A partner may bring financial benefit, or financial matters may become a topic of conversation within a close relationship. The desire to build material security with a partner or to invest in your shared quality of life together is alive during this period. For those who are single, someone with financial stability and a comfortable lifestyle may hold more attraction than usual. This is Venus in Taurus expressing its most characteristic quality, the instinct to find security and pleasure through the material world. The important modifier of this entire Venus transit is Saturn in Pisces aspecting Taurus with its third aspect. Saturn's aspect on your second house throughout this transit brings a quality of discipline and long-term thinking to the financial themes Venus is activating. Saturn does not block the gains Venus in its own sign can produce, but it does slow them and add a quality of accountability to how they are managed. The combination of Venus's abundance instinct and Saturn's discipline in the second house is actually productive if you engage both. Spend on quality things that last, avoid impulsive luxury spending that creates debt, and direct the financial momentum of this transit towards something that will still look good in 10 years. The Sun is exalted in Aries, your first house, throughout this transit. This is a powerful placement that enhances confidence, authority, and personal presence. The combination of an exalted Sun in the first house and Venus in the second creates a strong alignment between personal confidence and financial success. You are more likely to take initiative, present yourself effectively, and attract opportunities that contribute to your financial growth. Mercury begins this transit in Pisces in your 12th house and moves into Aries in your first house from April 30th onward. When Mercury joins the exalted Sun, enhance intelligence, communication, and decision-making. This is especially beneficial for financial discussions, negotiations, and personal presentations. The latter part of this transit is particularly strong for making important decisions related to money and self-expression. Mars and Saturn are together in Pisces in your 12th house throughout this period, creating a background of hidden pressure, expenses, or behind-the-scenes effort. There may be financial outflows related to private matters, health, or foreign connections. While Venus brings financial gains, this 12th house influence reminds you to remain cautious about expenses. Balancing income and expenditure is key to maintaining stability during this period. Venus also aspects Scorpio, your 8th house of shared finances, transformation, and hidden resources, from Taurus. This creates a connection between your personal wealth and shared financial matters. Opportunities related to investments, joint finances, or inheritance may arise. There may also be an increased interest in deeper financial planning or understanding hidden aspects of wealth. Overall, this Venus transit in your second house is one of the more genuinely productive and materially rewarding periods of the year for Aries individuals. The combination of Venus in its own sign, the exalted Sun in your first house, and the Sun-Mercury conjunction from April 30th creates a sustained window of personal confidence and financial momentum that deserves your full attention and deliberate engagement. For Taurus, Venus moves into Taurus on April 19th and stays until May 14th, transiting your first house. For Taurus individuals, Venus is your own chart ruler. It governs your first house of self through Taurus and your 6th house of daily work, health, and competition through Libra. When your ruling planet enters your own sign and sits in your first house, it is one of the most personally significant and genuinely pleasant transit experiences possible. Venus in its own sign in your ascendant is exactly what Taurus is built for. The planet of beauty, comfort, wealth, and love is at home, in full power, and it is directing all of that energy directly at your personal identity, appearance, and the impression you make on the world. The most immediate effect of this transit is on your personal presentation and magnetism. You become more attractive during these 25 days, both physically and socially. There is a natural elegance and warmth to how you carry yourself, a quality of ease and beauty in your presence that draws people toward you without effort. Your desire to look your best, to dress well, to take care of your body, and to present yourself with care is elevated. Investing in your appearance or your personal environment during this transit is not vanity. It is Venus in its own sign doing exactly what it is meant to do. The results are real and visible to others. The first house also governs your overall health and physical vitality. Venus in its own sign here is a generally positive influence on your well-being, bringing a quality of sensory pleasure and physical ease to your daily experience. You are more drawn to foods you enjoy, more inclined toward comfortable rather than harsh physical routines, and more willing to treat your body with the gentleness and care it deserves. The risk is the other side of that same coin. Venus in the first house can also produce an indulgent quality, a reluctance to push yourself physically or a tendency to prioritize comfort over discipline. A little conscious management keeps that in balance. Venus rules your 6th house while transiting the first, which connects your daily work, health routines, and competitive professional environment to your personal identity during this transit. Work that requires you to be personally present, personally charming, or personally invested in the quality of what you produce receives favorable energy. The Libra 6th house connection also means that diplomatic handling of workplace dynamics, competition managed through grace rather than aggression, and health approaches that prioritize balance and enjoyment over punishment are all well supported by this Venus placement. The most important modifier of this Venus transit for Taurus individuals is Saturn in Pisces aspecting Taurus with its third aspect. Saturn's aspect on your first house throughout this Venus transit is significant. Saturn in the third aspect to your ascendant brings a quality of weight, seriousness, and responsibility to your personal identity and physical experience even as Venus is adding warmth and pleasure. This is not a contradiction. It is a combination that produces a grounded, dignified version of Venusian beauty rather than a frivolous one. You can be both genuinely attractive and genuinely serious during this period. The Saturn aspect also means that any personal health matters deserve responsible, consistent attention rather than being brushed aside in favor of comfort. Take care of your body with both Venus's gentleness and Saturn's discipline during these 25 days. The Sun is exalted in Aries, your 12th house, throughout most of this transit. This brings strength and clarity to your inner life, encouraging introspection and behind-the-scenes growth. While Venus enhances your external presence, the exalted Sun strengthens your internal awareness and spiritual depth. This creates a balance between outer charm and inner strength. You may find that some of the most important developments during this period happen privately, even as your external life appears more vibrant. Mercury begins this transit in Pisces in your 11th house, forming a sign exchange with Jupiter in Gemini in your 2nd house. This connects your gains and social networks with your personal wealth and family life, supporting financial growth through connections and communication. From April 30th, Mercury moves into Aries and joins the exalted Sun in your 12th house. This enhances clarity and intelligence in behind-the-scenes matters, making it a strong period for planning, strategy, and private decision-making. Mars and Saturn are together in Pisces in your 11th house throughout this period, creating pressure in areas related to income, social networks, and long-term goals. This may bring challenges or delays in achieving certain ambitions. Venus in your first house provides a strong counterbalance by increasing your personal appeal and ability to attract support. Your charm and approachability can help ease tensions and create opportunities, even in a demanding environment. Venus also aspects Scorpio, your 7th house of relationships and partnerships, from Taurus. This is one of the most important effects of this transit. Venus strengthens both your personal presence and your relationships simultaneously. Romantic connections become warmer, more affectionate, and more harmonious. If you are in a relationship, it deepens and becomes more enjoyable. If you are single, this is a highly favorable time for attracting meaningful relationships based on genuine attraction and compatibility. Overall, this Venus transit in your first house is one of the most personally pleasant and genuinely empowering transit periods of the year for Taurus individuals. Your ruling planet at full strength in your own sign in your ascendant is a gift that comes around once a year, and this year it arrives alongside the exalted Sun in the 12th, providing inner depth. Make the most of your heightened personal magnetism during these 25 days. Be visible, be present, take care of your personal presentation, and let Venus in its home sign do what it does best. For Gemini, Venus moves into Taurus on April 19th and stays until May 14th, transiting your 12th house. For Gemini individuals, Venus rules your 12th house directly through Taurus and your 5th house of romance, creativity, children, and intelligence through Libra. When Venus moves into its own sign in the 12th house, it activates the house of spiritual retreat, foreign connections, private pleasures, expenses, isolation, and behind-the-scenes activity with the full warmth and abundance of Venus in its most empowered state. This is a transit that works in hidden, private, and inward spaces rather than in public-facing ones, and its benefits are most available to those who are willing to engage with those quieter dimensions of life. When Venus, the planet of beauty and pleasure, moves through it in its own sign, the most natural expression is private enjoyment, spiritual beauty, creative work done in solitude, and the kind of deep rest and sensory nourishment that only happens when you step away from the demands of daily life. During this transit, you are more inclined toward retreats, toward private pleasures, toward spending quiet time in environments that feel beautiful and peaceful. This inclination is appropriate and healthy. Honor it rather than fighting it. Venus rules your 5th house while transiting the 12th. This creates a meaningful connection between your creative life and your private, behind-the-scenes sphere during this period. Creative work that happens in private, in solitude, or away from public performance is strongly supported. Writers, musicians, visual artists, or anyone who creates from an intuitive and deeply personal place will find this transit particularly productive. The 5th house themes of romance and love also carry a 12th house quality during this period. New romantic connections that form during this transit may have a private or slightly mysterious quality. Existing romantic relationships may deepen into more vulnerable and intimate territory. The financial dimension of Venus in its own sign in the 12th house is worth naming honestly. The 12th house is the house of expenses, and Venus in its own sign here has a strong desire for beautiful, comfortable, and luxurious things. The double energy of Venus in Taurus amplifies the desire for quality and pleasure, and in the 12th house, that desire tends to express itself as spending on private matters, foreign connections, spiritual activities, or behind-the-scenes comforts. This is not necessarily harmful, and some of that spending may be genuinely worthwhile. But it requires deliberate awareness. Track what you are spending during this period, because the 12th house has a way of making expenses feel justified in the moment, while the spending money tells a different story later. Saturn in Pisces aspects Taurus with its 3rd aspect throughout this transit. This means Saturn's disciplined, restrictive gaze is landing directly on your 12th house during this Venus transit. Saturn's aspect on the 12th house is actually a moderating and somewhat protective influence in this context. It prevents the 12th house Venus from producing completely unchecked private spending and instead adds a quality of thoughtfulness and long-term awareness to the pleasures and expenses of this period. The combination of Venus's abundance instinct and Saturn's discipline in the 12th house produces the best version of this transit, which is private enjoyment that is also sustainable and grounded. The Sun is exalted in Aries, your 11th house of gains, income, and social networks, throughout most of this transit. This creates a strong external support system, even as Venus pulls your focus inward. The exalted Sun enhances your ability to achieve goals, attract opportunities, and gain recognition through your network. This balance between inward reflection and outward success allows you to maintain progress while also taking time for personal renewal. Mercury, your ruling planet, begins this transit in Pisces in your 10th house, forming a sign exchange with Jupiter and Gemini in your 1st house. This creates a powerful alignment between your identity and your career, supporting authentic self-expression in professional matters. From April 30th, Mercury moves into Aries and joins the exalted Sun in your 11th house. This enhances communication, intelligence, and authority in your social and professional networks, making the latter part of this transit particularly favorable for collaboration and goal achievement. Mars and Saturn are together in Pisces in your 10th house throughout this period, creating pressure and responsibility in your career. This combination demands hard work, discipline, and persistence. While this may feel intense, it also builds strength and resilience. Venus in the 12th house provides a necessary counterbalance, encouraging rest, reflection, and emotional recovery. It helps you manage professional stress by creating space for relaxation and inner peace. Venus also aspects Scorpio, your 6th house of work, health, and daily routines, from Taurus. This brings a gentle and supportive influence to your work environment and health habits. You may feel more inclined to focus on tasks that you enjoy and to create a more comfortable and harmonious routine. Health practices that are nurturing rather than strict are favored, such as balanced nutrition, relaxation, and self-care. This influence helps you maintain well-being even during demanding periods. Jupiter is in Gemini, your 1st house, throughout this entire Venus transit. This 1st house Jupiter, your own sign, is one of the most supportive and expansive influences in your chart during this period. Jupiter in the 1st house brings wisdom, optimism, and a natural quality of expansion to your personal identity and life approach. It protects you from the more excessive expressions of 12th house Venus spending and gives you a quality of philosophical grounding and genuine perspective that makes the private, inward themes of this transit feel meaningful rather than isolating. Let Jupiter's 1st house wisdom guide what you choose to invest your private time and resources in during these 25 days. Overall, this is a transit of genuine inner richness, private creative depth, and spiritual beauty. Honor the inward pull and the outer professional momentum will sustain itself. For Cancer, Venus moves into Taurus on April 19th and stays until May 14th, transiting your 11th house. For Cancer individuals, Venus rules your 11th house directly through Taurus and your 4th house of home, mother, property, and emotional foundations through Libra. When Venus moves into its own sign in your 11th house, it creates a concentrated double energy in the sphere of income, gains, social networks, elder siblings, long-term ambitions, and the fulfillment of desires. The 11th house is the house of what you have been working toward, and Venus in Taurus here, empowered in its own sign, brings a quality of genuine material and social fulfillment to those ambitions during these 25 days. The 11th house in its most direct expression is about money that comes in beyond your regular profession, gains from your network, and the realization of things you have been hoping for. Venus in its own sign here amplifies all of that with a quality of beauty, ease, and genuine pleasure in the receiving. Income opportunities during this transit may come through relationship-oriented work, creative fields, luxury goods, beauty, finance, or any Venus-ruled activity. Your network is more responsive to you during this period. People in your social and professional circle are more inclined to say yes, to collaborate, to recommend you, and to bring opportunities your way. This is Venus doing what it does in the house it rules with full empowerment. The 4th house connection Venus carries into every transit as its 2nd house of rulership is particularly meaningful during this 11th house placement. There may be financial gains connected to property, home-based work, or matters involving your mother during this transit. Real estate transactions, home-based business activity, or any work that has a domestic or nurturing dimension may produce income through the network during this period. The connection between your home sphere and your 11th house gains is live and active through Venus during these 25 days. Socially, this is one of the more naturally pleasant and productive periods of the year for Cancer individuals. Venus in its own sign in the 11th house makes you more appealing within your social and professional networks, more drawn to gathering with people who share your values and interests, and more capable of creating genuine goodwill in your professional environment. New connections made during this transit have a quality of ease and genuine mutual benefit. The desire to connect with others for pleasurable, comfortable, and financially or emotionally rewarding reasons is elevated, which is exactly what Venus in Taurus in the 11th house produces. Saturn in Pisces aspects Taurus with its 3rd aspect throughout this transit. Saturn's gaze landing on your 11th house is an important modifier of the otherwise expansive Venus energy here. Saturn in the 3rd aspect to the 11th house brings a disciplined, serious quality to your pursuit of gains and your social ambitions. Easy shortcuts are less likely during this period. The gains Venus is making available tend to arrive through sustained, consistent effort and genuine professional relationships rather than through charm or luck alone. The Saturn aspect does not remove the gains Venus in its own sign can produce, but it ensures that they come through a process that is worthy of them. This is actually a healthy combination for building something lasting in the 11th house sphere. The Sun is exalted in Aries, your 10th house of career, throughout most of this transit. This is a powerful placement that enhances your professional authority, visibility, and confidence. The combination of an exalted Sun in the 10th house and Venus in the 11th creates a strong alignment between career success and financial gains. Professional achievements during this period are likely to translate directly into income, recognition, and advancement. This is an excellent time to take initiative in your career, as your efforts are more likely to be rewarded. Mercury begins this transit in Pisces in your 9th house, forming a sign exchange with Jupiter in Gemini in your 12th house. This creates a connection between higher learning, philosophy, and your inner or spiritual life, encouraging deep reflection and thoughtful decision-making. From April 30th, Mercury moves into Aries and joins the exalted Sun in your 10th house. This enhances communication, intelligence, and authority in your professional sphere, making the latter part of this transit particularly important for career-related discussions, decisions, and presentations. Mars and Saturn are together in Pisces in your 9th house throughout this period, creating pressure related to beliefs, higher learning, travel, or relationships with mentors or father figures. This may bring challenges or responsibilities in these areas. Venus in the 11th house provides a positive counterbalance by offering gains, support, and opportunities through your network. This helps you manage the pressure with greater ease and maintain a sense of progress despite challenges. Venus also aspects Scorpio, your 5th house of romance, creativity, children, and intelligence from Taurus. This creates a beautiful connection between gains and personal joy. Creative efforts may bring recognition and financial rewards, and romantic relationships may feel both emotionally fulfilling and materially supportive. This aspect enhances your ability to enjoy life while also achieving your goals. It encourages a balance between pleasure and productivity, allowing you to experience both simultaneously. Jupiter is in Gemini, your 12th house, throughout this transit. Jupiter in the 12th house brings a quality of spiritual depth, foreign or behind-the-scenes connection, and philosophical richness to your private inner life during this period. For the overall Venus transit picture, the 12th house Jupiter provides wise, quiet guidance that prevents the 11th house Venus abundance from becoming materialistic or shallow. The combination of Venus's gains energy, the exalted Sun's career authority, and Jupiter's 12th house wisdom creates a period where material success and inner depth are genuinely compatible and mutually supporting. This is a genuinely productive and fulfilling transit period for Cancer individuals overall. For Leo, Venus moves into Taurus on April 19th and stays until May 14th, transiting your 10th house. For Leo individuals, Venus rules your 10th house directly through Taurus and your 3rd house of communication, courage, siblings, and personal initiative through Libra. When Venus moves into its own sign in your 10th house, it activates the most publicly visible house in your chart with the full warmth and abundance of Venus at its highest empowerment. The 10th house is your career, your public reputation, your relationship with authority figures, and the professional legacy you are building in the world. Venus in Taurus here creates a period of genuine professional warmth, charm, and visible achievement in the most important public sphere of your life. The most immediately felt expression of Venus in its own sign in the 10th house is a shift in how your professional environment feels and how others respond to you within it. Your colleagues, clients, and authority figures find you more approachable, more charming, and more genuinely pleasant to work with during this period. There is a quality of ease and social grace to your professional interactions that makes negotiations, collaborations, and requests land more smoothly than usual. You are not just competent during this transit. You are genuinely likable in professional settings in a way that opens doors that pure competence alone sometimes cannot. Venus rules your 3rd house while transiting the 10th, creating a direct connection between your communication skills and your career outcomes during this transit. The way you speak, write, and express your ideas in professional context is elevated by Venus's influence. Your voice carries more warmth and persuasiveness. Presentations, pitches, reports, and professional communications all benefit from a quality of Venusian beauty and appeal that makes them land more effectively. Short-distance travel connected to professional purposes may also carry particularly favorable energy. If your career involves creative work, communication, media, or any field where how you present yourself and your ideas is central, this transit is exceptionally well aligned with your professional strengths. Financially, Venus in its own sign in the 10th house connects your career visibility directly to income potential. The double energy of Venus and Taurus in the house of career and public standing means that financial gains connected to professional recognition, career advancement, a raise, or a significant new professional opportunity are all genuinely possible during this window. The quality and comfort of your professional environment may also improve. Venus in the 10th house is known for bringing a pleasant, even beautiful quality to the work setting, including better professional relationships, a more harmonious team environment, or physical improvements to your workspace. Saturn in Pisces aspects Taurus with its 3rd aspect throughout this entire Venus transit. Saturn's gaze on your 10th house of career is a significant modifier for Leo individuals. Saturn has been transiting your 8th house for some time, and its aspect reaching forward into your 10th house adds a quality of serious accountability, discipline, and long-term career thinking to the otherwise pleasant Venus in Taurus energy. The combination is actually very productive for career building. Venus attracts the right professional relationships and creates the social ease for doors to open, while Saturn's aspect ensures that what you build professionally during this period has real substance and durability rather than just surface charm. The Sun, your ruling planet, is exalted in Aries in your 9th house throughout most of this transit. This is a highly favorable placement, bringing confidence, clarity, and a sense of purpose. The 9th house governs fortune, higher learning, and dharmic direction, and the exalted Sun here enhances your alignment with your life path. The combination of your chart ruler being exalted in the 9th house and Venus being strong in the 10th creates a powerful period where career success and fortune work together. Opportunities that arise during this time are likely to feel aligned with your higher purpose. Mercury begins this transit in Pisces in your 8th house, forming a sign exchange with Jupiter in Gemini in your 11th house. This creates a connection between transformation and financial gains, supporting income through research, partnerships, or shared resources. From April 30th, Mercury moves into Aries and joins the exalted Sun in your 9th house. This enhances communication, intelligence, and authority in areas related to teaching, publishing, or higher knowledge. Important discussions or opportunities connected to learning or mentorship are especially favorable during the latter part of this transit. Mars and Saturn are together in Pisces in your 8th house throughout this period, creating underlying pressure related to shared finances, transformation, and hidden matters. This may involve financial responsibilities, emotional intensity, or deeper psychological processes. While this energy can feel demanding, Venus in the 10th house provides a strong counterbalance by enhancing your external success and confidence. The key is to manage internal pressures carefully while making the most of the opportunities available in your professional life. Venus also aspects Scorpio, your 4th house of home, family, and emotional foundations, from Taurus. This brings warmth, comfort, and harmony into your domestic life. Your home environment may feel more peaceful and supportive, and relationships with family members, especially maternal figures, may improve. There may also be a desire to beautify your living space or invest in comfort. This balance between professional success and domestic peace helps maintain overall stability during this transit. Jupiter is in Gemini, your 11th house of gains, throughout this transit. Jupiter in the 11th house brings expansive optimism to income, social networks, and the fulfillment of long-held ambitions. For this Venus transit specifically, 11th house Jupiter acts as a genuine income multiplier in the background, taking the professional momentum of Venus in the 10th and converting it into tangible financial gains through your network and social connections. The combination of Venus in the 10th, the exalted Sun in the 9th, and Jupiter in the 11th creates a three-house activation of career authority, fortune, and income that makes this one of the most professionally rewarding periods of the year for Leo individuals. For Virgo, Venus moves into Taurus on April 19th and stays until May 14th, transiting your 9th house. For Virgo individuals, Venus rules your 9th house directly through Taurus and your 2nd house of wealth, family, and speech through Libra. When Venus moves into its own sign in the 9th house, it activates the house of fortune, higher learning, long-distance travel, your father or guiding figures, belief systems, and dharmic direction with the full power and warmth of Venus at its most empowered. The 9th house is one of the most naturally auspicious houses in Vedic astrology, and Venus in its own sign here creates a period of genuine grace, expanding fortune, and a sense of life flowing in the right direction. When Venus transits the 9th house in its own sign, life feels a little more gracious than usual. Opportunities arrive with less friction. Small blessings appear in unexpected places. The harshness of routine softens and there is a gentle quality of ease to how the day unfolds. This quality is Venus in its most elevated expression in the 9th house. You may feel more drawn to travel, to philosophical exploration, to connecting with a teacher or guiding figure, or to the kind of cultural and intellectual enrichment that the 9th house naturally seeks. Long-distance travel during this transit, whether for pleasure or professional purposes, carries a quality of beauty and genuine meaning that makes it memorable and worthwhile. The 2nd house connection Venus carries into this transit through its Libra rulership is significant. The 9th house of fortune and the 2nd house of accumulated wealth being connected through Venus means that financial gains connected to dharmic or aligned activity, to travel, to educational pursuits, or to connections made through long-distance relationships all carry favorable energy. There is a sense during this transit that doing the right thing, following your genuine philosophical direction, and engaging authentically with your beliefs produces material rewards as a natural consequence rather than as a forced outcome. This is Venus in the 9th house expressing the principle that fortune follows alignment. Your relationship with your father or with a mentor, teacher, or guiding figure in your life is highlighted by this Venus transit. Venus in its own sign in the 9th house brings a quality of warmth, appreciation, and genuine affection to these relationships. A conversation with a teacher, a reconnection with a mentor, or a meaningful interaction with your father may occur during this period and carry a quality of genuine and lasting significance. If you are a teacher or mentor yourself, the way you transmit wisdom and care during this transit is particularly powerful and well received by those you guide. Saturn in Pisces aspects Taurus with its 3rd aspect throughout this transit. Saturn's gaze on your 9th house of fortune is an important modifier for the otherwise expansive Venus in own sign energy here. Saturn's aspect on the 9th brings a quality of seriousness and long-term thinking to your pursuit of fortune, travel, and higher learning. The grace and ease that Venus in Taurus naturally produces in the 9th house are tempered by Saturn's requirement that fortune be earned through genuine effort and consistent dharmic alignment rather than through wishful thinking or shortcut. This combination is actually philosophically appropriate. Real fortune, the kind that Saturn rewards, comes from doing the right work in the right way over time. Venus in the 9th makes that process beautiful. Saturn makes it lasting. The Sun is exalted in Aries, your 8th house of transformation and shared resources, throughout most of this transit. This brings strength, confidence, and clarity to deeper and more complex areas of life, including financial matters involving others and personal transformation. The combination of an exalted Sun in the 8th house and Venus in the 9th creates a powerful dynamic where inner transformation leads to external clarity and growth. Challenges related to shared finances or emotional depth can be handled with strength and confidence during this time. Mercury, your ruling planet, begins this transit in Pisces in your 7th house, forming a sign exchange with Jupiter in Gemini in your 10th house. This creates a strong connection between partnerships and career, supporting meaningful professional relationships and collaborative opportunities. From April 30th, Mercury moves into Aries and joins the exalted Sun in your 8th house. This enhances analytical ability, communication, and decision-making in complex or research-oriented matters, making the latter part of this transit particularly strong for handling financial or strategic discussions. Mars and Saturn are together in Pisces in your 7th house throughout this period, creating pressure in partnerships and close relationships. This may bring challenges, responsibilities, or tension in interactions with others. Venus in the 9th house provides a higher perspective and philosophical understanding that helps you navigate these challenges with greater patience and wisdom. By approaching relationship matters with maturity and thoughtful communication, you can manage this energy effectively. Venus also aspects Scorpio, your 3rd house of communication, siblings, and initiative, from Taurus. This enhances your communication style, making your words more charming, persuasive, and meaningful. Conversations become more thoughtful and pleasant, and relationships with siblings or close contacts may improve. There is also support for creative expression, writing, and sharing ideas, particularly those connected to philosophy or personal beliefs. Jupiter is transiting Gemini in your 10th house, bringing expansion, wisdom, and opportunity in your career. This complements the 9th house Venus transit by aligning your professional growth with your higher purpose and values. Career opportunities during this period are likely to feel meaningful and aligned with your long-term direction. There is a sense that your professional path is supported by both effort and fortune. Overall, this Venus transit through your 9th house is a period of genuine fortune, inner grace, and meaningful connection with the philosophical dimensions of life that feed and sustain everything else. For Libra, Venus moves into Taurus on April 19th and stays until May 14th, transiting your 8th house. For Libra individuals, Venus is your own chart ruler. It governs your 1st house of self through Libra and your 8th house directly through Taurus. When your ruling planet enters its own sign in the 8th house, the experience is complex and layered in a way that is worth understanding clearly. Venus in Taurus in the 8th house brings the full double energy of Venus and Taurus, both connected to wealth, pleasure, and desire, into the house of shared finances, joint assets, inheritance, transformation, research, the occult, and the deeper psychological dimensions of life. This is not a surface level or socially easy transit. It is a transit of depth, intimacy, and meaningful financial complexity. The 8th house is where Venus actually has strong functional connection for Libra, since Taurus rules this house in your chart. Venus in its own sign here is in familiar territory even if the 8th house is not traditionally where one expects to find Venusian pleasure. The expression of Venus in the 8th house, particularly in its own sign, is most naturally found in deep emotional intimacy, in the beauty of shared vulnerability, in research or investigation that you genuinely love, and in financial gains that come through other people's resources rather than your own direct labor. Inheritance, a partner's income, investment returns, shared assets, or gains through joint financial arrangements are all possible expressions of Venus in its own sign in the 8th house. Your chart ruler being in the 8th house means that your personal identity and overall sense of self are engaged with 8th house matters during this transit. There is a quality of being drawn inward, toward the depths of experience, toward what is hidden and transformative rather than what is publicly visible. This is not a transit for performing or for being socially prominent. It is a transit for honest inner work, for genuine connection with the people you trust most, and for handling the financial and personal matters that require real attention and depth. Venus in its own sign here ensures that this inner work can be genuinely beautiful and meaningful rather than simply demanding. The first house connection Venus carries through Libra's rulership means your personal identity is connected to these 8th house themes throughout the transit. Who you are and how you present yourself are being shaped and refined by 8th house processes during this period. Transformation is a word the 8th house uses often, and with your chart ruler operating in this house in its own sign, a genuine quality of personal deepening and refinement is available during these 25 days for those who are willing to engage honestly with it. Saturn in Pisces aspects Taurus with its 3rd aspect throughout this transit. Saturn's gaze on your 8th house adds a quality of seriousness, patience, and careful management to the 8th house Venus themes. Shared financial matters during this period benefit from Saturn's disciplined oversight. Do not make impulsive decisions about joint assets, investments, or shared financial arrangements based on the pleasure-oriented instincts of Venus in Taurus. Saturn's aspect ensures that the most durable gains from 8th house Venus come through thorough, carefully managed, long-term approaches rather than quick or emotionally driven financial moves. In matters of psychological transformation, Saturn's aspect adds the necessary weight and honesty to prevent Venus in the 8th from producing only superficially beautiful insights without real depth. The Sun is exalted in Aries, your 7th house of partnerships, throughout most of this transit. This strengthens your relationships, bringing confidence, authority, and clarity into your partnerships. The combination of Venus in the 8th house and an exalted Sun in the 7th creates a powerful dynamic where relationships are both transformative and outwardly strong. You may experience deeper emotional bonding while also maintaining a sense of clarity and purpose in your partnerships. Mercury begins this transit in Pisces in your 6th house, forming a sign exchange with Jupiter in Gemini in your 9th house. This connects your daily work with higher learning and wisdom, supporting thoughtful and meaningful communication in your professional life. From April 30th, Mercury moves into Aries and joins the exalted Sun in your 7th house. This enhances communication, intelligence, and clarity in relationships, making the latter part of this transit especially important for discussions, negotiations, and partnership decisions. Mars and Saturn are together in Pisces in your 6th house throughout this period, creating pressure in your work environment and daily responsibilities. This may bring challenges, competition, or increased workload. This energy also provides discipline, determination, and the ability to handle demanding situations. Venus in the 8th house offers a balancing effect by encouraging introspection and emotional grounding, helping you manage external pressures more effectively. Venus also aspects Scorpio, your 2nd house of wealth, family, and speech, from Taurus. This creates a strong connection between shared finances and your personal wealth. Gains from joint resources, investments, or partnerships may positively influence your financial stability. This axis between the 2nd and 8th houses is highly significant, as it links external resources with your personal financial growth. Conversations about money, family finances, or shared assets may become particularly important during this period. Jupiter is transiting Gemini in your 9th house, bringing wisdom, expansion, and a sense of purpose to your life. This influence provides support and guidance, helping you navigate the deeper themes of the 8th house with a sense of meaning and direction. Jupiter's presence ensures that even as you engage in transformation and introspection, you maintain a broader perspective and remain aligned with your higher path. Overall, this Venus transit in your 8th house is a period of depth, transformation, and meaningful financial and emotional developments for Libra individuals. It encourages you to engage with life beyond the surface, to explore deeper connections, and to handle shared resources with awareness and responsibility. With the stabilizing influence of Saturn, the strength of the exalted Sun, and the guidance of Jupiter, this transit offers an opportunity for genuine personal growth and lasting change. Embracing its depth rather than resisting it allows you to gain the most from this powerful phase. For Scorpio, Venus moves into Taurus on April 19th and stays until May 14th, transiting your 7th house. For Scorpio individuals, Venus rules your 7th house directly through Taurus and your 12th house of expenses, foreign connections, and spiritual retreat through Libra. When Venus moves into its own sign in your 7th house of marriage, committed partnerships, business alliances, and contracts, it activates the house of your most significant relationships with the full double energy of Venus and Taurus at its most powerful. This is genuinely one of the best Venus transit positions possible for your most important relationships, and the fact that it is happening in Venus's own sign amplifies every dimension of it. The 7th house governs your spouse or romantic partner, your most significant business alliances, contracts and negotiations, and the primary other person in any important one-on-one dynamic in your life. Venus in Taurus in its own sign here creates a period of genuine warmth, beauty, and material ease in all of these relationship spheres simultaneously. If you are in a committed romantic relationship, this transit tends to bring real affection, a renewed sense of appreciation between you and your partner, and a desire to invest in your relationship's beauty and material comfort together. The desire to enjoy life together, to share pleasures, and to make each other feel genuinely valued and cared for is naturally elevated. The quality of attraction during this Venus transit in the 7th house is significant for those who are single. Venus in its own sign in the house of partnerships creates one of the more naturally magnetic and genuine quality romantic windows of the year. New connections formed during this transit tend to be motivated by real attraction, shared values around material comfort and aesthetic sensibility, and a genuine sense of ease and pleasure in each other's company. Taurus is not a sign of dramatic romance. It is a sign of real, comfortable, sensory, and lasting connection. That is the quality of relationship this transit most naturally supports. Business partnerships and professional alliances formed or deepened during this transit carry a quality of material ease and genuine mutual benefit. Negotiations during this period go more smoothly than usual. Contracts signed or discussions had about professional partnerships carry Venusian grace and a natural inclination toward arrangements that feel fair, beautiful, and genuinely satisfying to both parties. If you have been waiting for the right moment to formalize a professional alliance, or to negotiate an important agreement, Venus in its own sign in your 7th house is a genuinely favorable window. Saturn in Pisces aspects Taurus with its 3rd aspect throughout this transit. Saturn's aspect on your 7th house is a significant long-term modifier for relationships. Saturn in your 5th house aspecting the 7th house adds a quality of seriousness, responsibility, and long-term commitment to the relationship themes Venus in Taurus is activating. This is not a contradiction. It is actually a powerful combination for relationships that are meant to last. Venus in the 7th creates the warmth, attraction, and genuine desire for partnership. Saturn's aspect ensures that what is built in the relationship sphere during this period is grounded in real commitment and mutual accountability rather than just pleasure and comfort. The Sun is exalted in Aries, your 6th house of work, health, and competition, throughout most of this transit. This strengthens your professional life, giving you confidence, determination, and the ability to handle challenges effectively. The combination of an exalted Sun in the 6th house and Venus in the 7th house creates a balanced dynamic between work and relationships. You are able to maintain productivity and assertiveness in your professional life while preserving harmony and warmth in your personal relationships. Mercury begins this transit in Pisces in your 5th house, forming a sign exchange with Jupiter in Gemini in your 8th house. This creates a connection between creativity, romance, and deeper emotional or psychological themes, making communication more meaningful and insightful. From April 30th, Mercury moves into Aries and joins the exalted Sun in your 6th house. This enhances intelligence, communication skills, and decision-making ability in professional settings, making the latter part of this transit particularly favorable for work-related discussions and problem-solving. Mars and Saturn are together in Pisces in your 5th house throughout this period, creating pressure in areas related to creativity, romance, and children. This may bring delays, responsibilities, or a more serious tone to these aspects of life. Venus in the 7th house provides a strong counterbalance. The warmth and support from your relationships help ease this pressure, allowing you to maintain emotional stability and continue expressing yourself despite challenges. This balance between intensity and harmony is key to navigating the transit effectively. Venus also aspects Scorpio, your 1st house, from Taurus, directly influencing your personality, appearance, and self-expression. Venus's aspect enhances your charm, attractiveness, and personal magnetism, making you more appealing and approachable. Your presence becomes more refined and engaging, which positively impacts both personal and professional interactions. The connection between the 7th house and the 1st house creates a strong feedback loop where relationship harmony enhances personal confidence and self-expression. Jupiter is transiting Gemini in your 8th house, bringing wisdom, transformation, and depth to your life. This influence ensures that the relationships formed or strengthened during this period are not superficial but carry deeper meaning and transformative potential. You may experience growth through shared experiences, emotional bonding, and a deeper understanding of yourself and others. Jupiter adds a layer of philosophical and psychological richness to the Venusian energy, making this transit both enjoyable and meaningful. Overall, this Venus transit through your 7th house is one of the most favorable and relationship-focused periods of the year for Scorpio individuals. It enhances love, strengthens partnerships, improves professional collaborations, and increases personal magnetism. It is a time to invest in relationships, build meaningful connections, and allow harmony and beauty to guide your interactions while creating lasting value in both personal and professional spheres. For Sagittarius, Venus moves into Taurus on April 19th and remains there until May 14th, transiting your 6th house. Venus rules your 6th house through Taurus and your 11th house through Libra, linking daily work, service, health, and challenges with income, gains, and social networks. When Venus enters its own sign in the 6th house, it creates a unique and productive combination. The 6th house represents effort, discipline, service, competition, and practical life responsibilities. Venus here brings a softer, more harmonious approach to these areas, allowing you to engage with work and responsibilities in a more balanced and fulfilling way. This transit encourages you to find enjoyment in your daily work and routines. Rather than viewing responsibilities as burdens, you may begin to approach them with greater care, interest, and even satisfaction. Venus in its own sign in the 6th house supports those who serve, heal, or improve conditions for others. You may feel more inclined toward work that involves helping, nurturing, or refining systems. The quality of your work improves as you bring attention to detail, aesthetics, and genuine care into what you do. This is a period where effort becomes meaningful, and the results of your dedication are more noticeable to others. Because Venus also rules your 11th house, there is a strong connection between your work and your financial gains during this transit. Income and opportunities are likely to come through your efforts, particularly when your work reflects quality, consistency, and genuine care. Gains may also come through professional networks, social circles, or collaborative environments. This creates a satisfying dynamic where your income feels directly connected to the value you provide, making your efforts both rewarding and sustainable. Health and daily routines also benefit from this transit. Venus encourages you to adopt habits that are not only effective but also enjoyable. Instead of strict or exhausting routines, you are more likely to succeed with practices that feel comfortable and nourishing. This may include balanced nutrition, gentle exercise, relaxation techniques, and self-care habits that you genuinely enjoy. The Taurus influence adds stability, making it easier to maintain these routines over time. This is an excellent period to build sustainable health practices that improve your overall well-being. Saturn in Pisces is transiting your 4th house and casting its 3rd aspect onto Taurus, influencing your 6th house. This adds discipline, responsibility, and consistency to your work and routines. While Venus brings ease and enjoyment, Saturn ensures that you remain committed and focused. This combination is highly productive, allowing you to produce high-quality work through consistent effort. It is especially beneficial for professional environments where reliability and attention to detail are valued. By combining Venus's refinement with Saturn's discipline, you can achieve meaningful and lasting results. The Sun is exalted in Aries, your 5th house of creativity, romance, and personal expression, throughout most of this transit. This adds confidence, inspiration, and creative energy to your life. While Venus focuses on service and daily responsibilities, the exalted Sun provides a counterbalance by enhancing joy, creativity, and self-expression. You are able to maintain a healthy balance between work and personal fulfillment, ensuring that your life does not become overly routine or demanding. This combination supports both productivity and personal happiness. Mercury begins this transit in Pisces in your 4th house, forming a sign exchange with Jupiter in Gemini in your 7th house. This creates a connection between your home life and partnerships, supporting thoughtful communication and emotional understanding. From April 30th, Mercury moves into Aries and joins the exalted Sun in your 5th house. This enhances intelligence, communication, and creativity, making the later part of this transit particularly favorable for expressing ideas, teaching, or engaging in creative work that also has professional value. Mars and Saturn are together in Pisces in your 4th house, creating intensity and pressure in your domestic environment. This may bring responsibilities, tension, or a sense of burden related to home or family matters. At the same time, Venus in the 6th house demands attention to work and daily responsibilities, creating a feeling of being pulled in different directions. It is important to manage your time and energy carefully, ensuring that domestic pressures do not negatively affect your professional focus. Patience and structured action will help you navigate this balance effectively. Venus also aspects Scorpio, your 12th house of expenses, rest, and spiritual retreat, from Taurus. This influence increases the desire for rest, solitude, and inner renewal. There may be expenses related to comfort, travel, or spiritual pursuits, but these can be beneficial if approached consciously. The 12th house connection highlights the importance of rest and recovery during this period. With both work and home demanding attention, taking time to recharge is essential. This is not a time to ignore your need for rest, but rather to integrate it as part of your routine. Jupiter is transiting Gemini in your 7th house, bringing wisdom, growth, and positivity to partnerships. Relationships, both personal and professional, become more supportive and meaningful. This influence enhances cooperation, making it easier to work with others and achieve shared goals. During this Venus transit, partnerships play an important role in your progress, especially in professional contexts. Collaborative efforts are likely to produce positive results, particularly when approached with sincerity and mutual respect. Overall, this Venus transit in your 6th house is a period of productive growth, where work, health, and service become more balanced and fulfilling. It allows you to improve your routines, strengthen your work ethic, and connect your efforts with tangible gains. While there may be pressure from domestic responsibilities, the support of Jupiter and the creative energy of the exalted Sun help maintain balance. This is a time to refine your daily life, serve with genuine care, and build sustainable habits that support long-term success and well-being. For Capricorn, Venus moves into Taurus on April 19th and remains there until May 14th, transiting your 5th house. Venus rules your 5th house through Taurus and your 10th house through Libra, linking personal joy, creativity, and romance with career, reputation, and public life. When Venus enters its own sign in the 5th house, it becomes extremely strong, creating a powerful period of pleasure, creativity, and emotional fulfillment. This transit brings a refreshing contrast to Capricorn's naturally serious and disciplined nature, offering a phase where enjoyment and self-expression take priority without disrupting long-term stability. The 5th house represents romance, creativity, children, speculative ventures, and the joy of being fully yourself. With Venus in Taurus here, these areas become more active and fulfilling. You feel more drawn toward experiences that bring genuine happiness, whether through artistic expression, romantic involvement, or simply allowing yourself to enjoy life without constant pressure or responsibility. There is a natural increase in desire for beauty, comfort, and meaningful pleasure. This is not a distraction from your goals, but rather a necessary balance that nourishes your overall well-being. Romantically, this is one of the most favorable periods of the year. Venus in its own sign in the 5th house creates attraction, warmth, and emotional ease in relationships. If you are in a relationship, this is a time to reconnect, enjoy shared experiences, and strengthen emotional bonds through pleasure and affection. The connection feels more natural and fulfilling. If you are single, new romantic opportunities may arise that feel stable, comfortable, and genuinely meaningful rather than superficial. There is a grounded and sincere quality to connections formed during this time. Creatively, this transit is highly supportive. The 5th house governs creative intelligence and personal expression, and Venus enhances both inspiration and output. Artistic pursuits such as writing, music, design, performance, or any form of creative skill receive a boost. You may feel more motivated to express yourself and invest time in activities that reflect your personal taste and talent. The quality of your work improves, and there is greater appreciation from others. This is an excellent time to develop or showcase creative abilities. Venus's rulership of your 10th house adds an important professional dimension to this transit. There is a strong link between your creative expression and your career. Work that involves creativity, aesthetics, or personal branding benefits significantly. You may gain recognition for your talents, or your public image may become more appealing and refined. This is a favorable time to present your work, build your reputation, or align your career with your creative strengths. The combination of personal joy and professional growth creates meaningful progress. Saturn in Pisces is transiting your 3rd house and casting its 3rd aspect onto Taurus, influencing your 5th house. This brings discipline and seriousness to the otherwise pleasure-focused Venus energy. It ensures that your creative efforts are structured and consistent rather than scattered. Romantic connections during this time are likely to carry depth and long-term potential rather than being purely casual. When it comes to speculative investments, Saturn encourages caution and careful planning. This combination of Venus's enjoyment and Saturn's discipline supports outcomes that are both satisfying and sustainable. The Sun is exalted in Aries, your 4th house of home, family, and emotional foundations, throughout most of this transit. This strengthens your domestic life, bringing confidence, authority, and clarity to home-related matters. The combination of an exalted Sun in the 4th house and Venus in the 5th house creates a harmonious balance between inner stability and outer enjoyment. Your home environment supports your creativity and emotional expression, allowing you to feel both secure and inspired. Mercury begins this transit in Pisces in your 3rd house, forming a sign exchange with Jupiter in Gemini in your 6th house. This supports intelligent communication in your daily work and interactions. From April 30th, Mercury moves into Aries and joins the exalted Sun in your 4th house. This enhances clarity, intelligence, and authority in matters related to home, family, and property. Important discussions or decisions during the latter part of this transit are likely to be productive and well-informed. Mars and Saturn are together in Pisces in your 3rd house throughout this period, creating intensity and pressure in communication and interactions with siblings. Conversations may feel direct, urgent, or sometimes tense. Venus in the 5th house provides a positive outlet for this energy. It encourages you to channel this intensity into creative expression rather than conflict. By focusing on constructive communication and creative pursuits, you can balance the sharper energy of Mars and Saturn. Venus also aspects Scorpio, your 11th house of income, gains, and social networks, from Taurus. This creates a strong connection between your creativity and financial growth. Opportunities for income through creative work, passion projects, or activities you genuinely enjoy may arise. The 5th and 11th house connection supports gains through talent, performance, or well-thought-out speculative efforts. Social networks may also become more supportive, helping you achieve your goals. Jupiter is transiting Gemini in your 6th house, bringing wisdom and expansion to your daily work and routines. While the 6th house is associated with effort and responsibility, Jupiter's presence brings a sense of purpose and growth in your work environment. During this Venus transit, it supports the idea that your creative expression can also serve a practical or professional purpose. You are able to combine enjoyment with productivity, creating a balanced and fulfilling experience. Overall, this Venus transit in your 5th house is one of the most enjoyable and creatively rewarding periods of the year for Capricorn individuals. It enhances romance, supports creative expression, improves your public image, and creates opportunities for financial gains through your talents. Allow yourself to fully embrace the beauty and pleasure this transit offers while maintaining the structure needed for long-term success. For Aquarius, Venus moves into Taurus on April 19th and remains there until May 14th, transiting your 4th house. Venus rules your 4th house through Taurus and your 9th house through Libra, connecting your home, emotional foundations, and domestic life with higher learning, fortune, and dharmic direction. When Venus enters its own sign in the 4th house, it strengthens both comfort and emotional stability, bringing beauty, peace, and nourishment into your private world. This creates a period where your home environment becomes a central source of happiness and restoration. The 4th house represents your roots, inner security, mother, property, and the private space that supports your external life. With Venus in its own sign here, you feel naturally drawn toward comfort, beauty, and emotional ease. There is a strong inclination to spend more time at home, to create a pleasant living environment, and to enjoy simple domestic pleasures. Good food, aesthetic surroundings, and meaningful time with family carry deeper emotional satisfaction. For Aquarius individuals, who are often focused on external goals and social involvement, this transit encourages a necessary shift inward, helping you reconnect with your personal space and emotional needs. There is also a strong desire to invest in your home during this period. This can include decorating, renovating, reorganizing, or purchasing items that enhance comfort and beauty. Since Taurus represents durability and long-term value, these investments tend to be worthwhile and lasting. The changes you make in your living space during this time are not temporary. they contribute to long-term satisfaction and stability. Creating a peaceful and aesthetically pleasing environment becomes both a priority and a source of fulfillment. Your relationship with your mother or maternal figures improves significantly during this transit. Venus in the 4th house enhances affection, understanding, and emotional closeness. If there have been misunderstandings or emotional distance, this period helps soften those dynamics and encourages reconnection. If the relationship is already strong, it becomes even more supportive and nurturing. There is a heightened desire to care for others and to feel cared for in return, making emotional exchanges more meaningful. Saturn in Pisces is transiting your 2nd house and casting its 3rd aspect onto Taurus, influencing your 4th house. This adds a layer of financial discipline and realism to the otherwise pleasure-oriented Venus energy. While Venus encourages spending on comfort and beauty, Saturn ensures that decisions are made with long-term practicality in mind. This combination is highly beneficial for property-related decisions, home investments, and financial planning connected to domestic life. It allows you to balance desire with responsibility, ensuring that what you invest in is both beautiful and sustainable. Because Venus also rules your 9th house, this transit carries a deeper philosophical and dharmic significance. Your home becomes more than just a physical space, it becomes a reflection of your beliefs and inner values. Creating a harmonious and nurturing environment aligns you with your broader life path. There is a sense that improving your domestic foundation is not just about comfort, but about living in alignment with what truly matters to you. This connection between home and dharma adds a meaningful layer to the entire transit. The Sun is exalted in Aries, your 3rd house of communication, courage, and initiative, throughout most of this period. This gives you confidence, boldness, and the ability to take action in your immediate environment. The combination of an exalted Sun in the 3rd house and Venus in its own sign in the 4th creates a powerful balance between external expression and internal stability. You are encouraged to act with courage and assertiveness while also maintaining a strong, peaceful inner foundation. This balance allows you to move forward effectively without losing emotional grounding. Mercury begins this transit in Pisces in your 2nd house, forming a sign exchange with Jupiter in Gemini in your 5th house. This connects your finances and family life with creativity and intelligence, supporting thoughtful and inspired decision-making. From April 30th, Mercury moves into Aries and joins the exalted Sun in your 3rd house. This enhances communication skills, intellectual clarity, and confidence in expression. The latter part of this transit becomes especially favorable for important conversations, professional communication, and initiatives that require both intelligence and boldness. Mars and Saturn are together in Pisces in your 2nd house throughout this period, creating financial pressure and potential tension in family-related matters. This combination can bring seriousness, responsibility, and sometimes stress regarding money and communication. Venus in the 4th house acts as a powerful counterbalance. It provides emotional comfort, stability, and a sense of peace that helps you manage external pressures more effectively. Your home becomes a place of refuge, allowing you to recharge and maintain inner balance even when financial demands feel intense. Venus also aspects Scorpio, your 10th house of career and public reputation, from Taurus. This brings a subtle but meaningful positive influence on your professional life. Your public image becomes warmer, more approachable, and more aligned with your personal values. Career activities that involve creativity, aesthetics, or emotional intelligence are especially supported. There is a natural connection between your domestic stability and your professional presence, allowing your inner sense of balance to reflect positively in your outer achievements. Jupiter, your 2nd ruler, is transiting Gemini in your 5th house, bringing expansion, wisdom, and joy to your creative and romantic life. This complements the Venus transit beautifully. While Venus enhances your home and emotional well-being, Jupiter enriches your creativity and self-expression. Together, they create a period where both your inner world and your creative output are nourished. This combination supports emotional fulfillment, creative growth, and a deeper sense of happiness. Overall, this Venus transit is deeply nourishing and stabilizing for Aquarius individuals. It enhances your home, strengthens emotional connections, improves relationships with your mother, and supports long-term domestic investments. At the same time, it balances financial pressures and strengthens your professional image through subtle Venusian influence. It is a time to invest in your home, reconnect with your emotional foundation, and allow your private life to support your outer progress. For Pisces, Venus moves into Taurus on April 19th, and remains there until May 14th, transiting your 3rd house. Venus rules your 3rd house through Taurus and your 8th house through Libra, linking communication, effort, and skills with deeper themes of transformation, shared resources, and psychological insight. When Venus enters its own sign in the 3rd house, it strengthens both the house and its natural significations, creating a harmonious and expressive period. This transit enhances communication, brings warmth in sibling relationships, supports short-distance travel, and makes the expression of your personal skills more attractive and refined. The most noticeable impact of this transit is seen in your communication. Your words naturally carry charm, softness, and persuasive warmth. Whether in professional settings, personal conversations, or creative expression, your communication becomes more appealing and well-received. This is not about calculated persuasion, but rather a genuine Venusian quality that beautifies your expression. What you say feels more thoughtful and emotionally resonant, making it easier to connect with others and receive positive responses. Writing, speaking, and all forms of expression benefit from this graceful energy. Because Venus also rules your 8th house, this transit adds depth to your communication. Conversations may naturally move toward meaningful or sensitive topics such as shared finances, emotional experiences, research, or psychological understanding. There is a subtle intensity beneath the pleasant surface, allowing you to express deeper truths in a gentle and acceptable way. Your natural Piscean intuition combines with Venus and Taurus to create communication that is not only warm but also insightful and impactful. Relationships with siblings and close peers improve during this time. Any previous misunderstandings can soften, making way for more harmonious and supportive interactions. You may feel more inclined to connect, share, and enjoy time with people in your immediate environment. Short journeys and local travel also become more enjoyable and fulfilling. Whether it is visiting a nearby place, spending time with loved ones, or simply exploring your surroundings, there is a sense of comfort and pleasure in these experiences. This transit is also highly supportive for skill development and creative expression. The 3rd house represents abilities you build through effort, and Venus in its own sign enhances both motivation and output. Creative fields such as writing, music, design, cooking, or any artistic skill receive strong support. You may feel inspired to refine your talents and express them with more care and beauty. The quality of your work improves naturally, making this an excellent period for progress in creative or skill-based pursuits. At the same time, Saturn is transiting Pisces in your 1st house and casting its 3rd aspect onto Taurus. This influence adds seriousness, discipline, and intention to your communication. While Venus brings charm and softness, Saturn ensures that your words carry weight and substance. This combination is especially beneficial for professional communication, negotiations, or important discussions. It allows you to balance warmth with responsibility, making your expression both attractive and meaningful. Speaking with sincerity and clarity during this period can lead to lasting positive outcomes. The Sun is exalted in Aries, your 2nd house of wealth, family, and speech, throughout most of this transit. This strengthens financial matters, enhances confidence in speech, and brings a sense of authority in family-related situations. When combined with Venus in the 3rd house, it creates a powerful balance between strength and softness. You may find yourself able to handle financial discussions or family matters with both confidence and diplomacy. Situations that require both authority and communication skills are particularly well supported. Mercury begins this transit in Pisces in your 1st house, forming a sign exchange with Jupiter in Gemini in your 4th house. This creates a strong connection between your identity and emotional foundation, encouraging thoughtful self-expression rooted in inner stability. From April 30th, Mercury moves into Aries and joins the exalted Sun in your 2nd house. This combination enhances intelligence, clarity, and authority in financial and communicative matters. During the later part of this transit, you are especially well positioned for important conversations, financial decisions, and negotiations. Mars and Saturn are both in Pisces in your 1st house, creating a background of intensity, pressure, and internal discipline. This combination can sometimes feel heavy, bringing physical or mental strain. Venus in the 3rd house provides a positive outlet for this energy. It allows you to channel inner tension into productive communication, creative expression, and meaningful interactions. Instead of holding stress internally, you are encouraged to express yourself openly and constructively. Venus also aspects Scorpio, your 9th house of higher learning, beliefs, and dharma. This influence brings beauty and harmony to your philosophical outlook. You may feel drawn to explore spiritual or intellectual subjects and share your beliefs with others. There is a natural inclination toward meaningful discussions, writing, or learning experiences that align with your deeper values. Travel related to education or spirituality can also be enjoyable and enriching during this time. Jupiter, your ruling planet, is transiting Gemini in your 4th house, bringing wisdom, comfort, and emotional stability. This provides a strong supportive foundation throughout the transit. While the 1st house Mars-Saturn combination may create pressure, Jupiter ensures that your inner world remains balanced and nourished. Your home environment can feel like a place of growth, reflection, and support, helping you stay grounded as you navigate external activities. Overall, this Venus transit brings a harmonious blend of beauty, expression, and depth for Pisces individuals. It enhances communication, supports creative skills, improves relationships with siblings and peers, and adds a meaningful dimension to your everyday interactions. Despite underlying pressures from other planetary influences, Venus provides a graceful and productive channel for expression, making this a period of growth, connection, and refined self-expression. As we conclude this episode, please keep in mind that these insights are based on the sidereal zodiac system used in Vedic astrology, which differs from the tropical system by approximately 24 degrees. These are general predictions. The real impact depends on your dasha cycles and your individual birth chart. For a personalized analysis or consultation, feel free to reach out. If you found this video valuable, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And now, you can also hype this video to boost it within the community. Your support helps this knowledge reach more people who may benefit. Thank you for watching. Stay aware, keep learning, and keep shining bright.